Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. It is a pleasure to be with you guys for one more solid hour of real, what, folks, information. It's going to be a great show today because we have somebody special in the office, and I know some of you are going to be very, very happy when you hear who I have on the line. So it's going to be great. But you know what? Right now in the control room, we had videographers and all these folks in the studio. So it was very hard to get into this place today. So I am looking at Shannon, and Shannon is going crazy trying to get things together. So we're giving her a little break before I get to give her the salute. Of course. But I always have to hear your voice before we get started. So how you doing, Shannon?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here with you both.
Exactly.
And our fantastic guests.
Tell me about it. I'm going to keep them in suspense a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer.
Well, you tell me about it.
All right, let's go for it. Look, today is going to be a great show, folks. Our guests are Theresa Haas and the Bernie Sanders East Texas Regional Director, and her protege. Let me ask her, exactly who is Kenneth?
Well, protege would probably not be the right word. I hope you don't tell him that you said that.
I won't tell him I said that.
He is our Tarrant County field officer and also does African American outreach for the campaign here in Texas.
Well, excellent. So you didn't hear that, Kenneth, in case you heard that, okay? Anyhow, going on, we will discuss a multitude of topics. Can Bernie Sanders win? Will Americans warm to a democratic socialist? Will Bernie Sanders earn the minority vote? There is much to talk about, folks, but before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist, my favorites are The Monitor with Mark Vebawi on Mondays at 7 p.m., Think Wing Radio with Mike Honig on Mondays at 9 p.m., Partisan Gridlock with Jeff Berg on Fridays at 3 p.m., and Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz, as it is best hosted by Juan Flores on Mondays at 10 p.m. Folks, remember, check out all our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT, a listener-supported public community radio. So please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom? The corporatocracy. This is KPFT 90.1 in Houston, Texas. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. Let's talk. I will also be following hashtag Politics Done Right. So please, folks, remember Twitter at Egberto Willies. But guess what? Guess what time it is? We're doing it quickly so we can get all of her in today.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Well, folks, Hillary Clinton, or what I called it this week, the blog post of the week, I called Hillary Clinton bringing Bernie Sanders' democratic socialism to forefront a good thing. And I think some of the Hillary folks are going to get a little upset. Then some of the Bernie folks are going to get a little bit upset. And then we're going to bring it home because this is what democracy is all about. So let's get busy. Many are calling foul. Hillary Clinton has unleashed her supporters to question Bernie Sanders' viability based on him self-identifying as a socialist Democrat. The reality? that is a very good thing. Ultimately, the president of the United States will be determined by all Americans, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and everyone else in between. In fact, it is a fact that electing anyone identifying themselves as anything with a word socialist in it will have a problem getting elected. A June 15, 2015 Gallup poll listed the socialist as the least electable person in the United States at 47%. Even an atheist fared better at 58%. Now, even more interesting is the breakup by party affiliation. 59% Democrats, 49% of independents, and 26% of Republicans would vote for a socialist. That's only 59% of Democrats would vote for a socialist, while 74% and 51% of Republicans and independents, respectively, would. Is a reality that must be reckoned with before any party puts a socialist on a national ticket. Does all that mean that Bernie Sanders supporters should call it quits, sulk, and go home for a lost cause? Is it a lost cause? Absolutely not. Given that activists are the most enthusiastic people voting in primaries, even with those numbers, Bernie Sanders could win the Democratic primary. But what good is winning the Democratic primary if the ultimate winner of the primary cannot win the election? So let's go further. Let's go deeper. When the Democratic Party decided to limit debates, they did the entire party a disservice. It meant people never got a vigorous and lengthy debate on issues including what democratic socialism would mean to them. As usual, Democrats leave the door open to be defined as opposed to being the definer. Hillary Clinton's current fears are justified. Democratic establishment politicians who are scared that a Bernie Sanders primary will hurt the party in their states are justified. In times of change, in times of flux, that is to be expected. The problem is that a status quo election this year means the Republicans could put up a dog and win a close election. Why? They are angrier. Angry people vote. Democrats are not as angry. And from my work on the ground, empirically for many that are angry, they are disillusioned with the Democratic Party. Given our limited debates and limited choices and candidates by design of the Democratic Party, whoever is the primary victor must make Democrats believe that they will make worthwhile for them to vote in no uncertain terms. Democrats have a fundamental misunderstanding of people and the level of their awareness of realities that affect them. Polls show what many Democrats want to ignore. The American electorate wants a big change. I repeat, the American electorate wants a big change. The head-to-head polls where Hillary Clinton beats Donald Trump by single digits or loses by single digits should be probative. For those who think Trump cannot win, remember Ronald Reagan won twice and George Bush won, well, 1.5 times. You know the story. Anyway, recent polls indicate that Bernie Sanders would do better in a head-to-head match with Donald Trump. There is a caveat here that one should heed. Hillary is right. Bernie Sanders' self-identified democratic socialist stance has not been vetted nationally. And again, based on polling, when that is done, all things being equal, those numbers are likely to change. So, are Democrats in a pickle irrespective of which candidate wins? The short answer today would be yes. If the Democratic status quo remains, neither Bernie Sanders nor Hillary Clinton will make it to the White House. The task is difficult for both Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. If Hillary Clinton is to win, she must move from Obama 2.0 incrementalism to radical change that can be articulated to the masses so that they believe she will make America great again for them. Trump parlance on purpose. Many know President Obama had an impossible task that could not be completed in his term. Most know that irrespective of that, they are still in dire straits. The task for Bernie Sanders is even more difficult. He will need Americans to have a quick transformation in a delta acceptance of a socialist, equivalent to the transformation that occurred for same-sex marriage. This cannot occur unless the entire country sees the discourse that Hillary Clinton has unleashed on the electability of a democratic socialist. In other words, it's a good thing because we can expand. Over the last debates, Bernie Sanders has been tepid in boldly defining democratic socialism as the program that people want. He does not specifically make the link. Everything that Sanders stands for is what the vast majority of Americans want. For increased Social Security, from increased Social Security to Medicare for all, to subsidize college education, these democratic socialist policies are, guess what? These are what Americans want. If Bernie Sanders is to win, the country must have the debate. He will be defined as a communist, socialist, un-American candidate, no matter what, by Republicans. That can only work if the ground is left barren for those weeds to grow. Sadly, many in the Democratic Party are pre-planting those weeds. Bernie Sanders and his army must be boldly fertilizing and planting the seeds that will overpower the Republican and Blue Dogs' weeds. That's the only way. That's the only way. After the debate throughout the primaries, the party will see whether or not America will resolve its fear and demagoguery with the word socialist democrat. The party should be represented by someone who will win. Welcome aboard, my dear lady. How are you doing, Theresa?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, we wanted to give. I'll be frank with you first of all.
Please do.
I pretty much think that one of the problems in our body politic today is that guys like Bernie Sanders that go against the grain don't get the airtime that they're supposed to get. People can say today, right now, that, oh, well, Bernie is always on MSNBC or Bernie is always... The truth of the matter, a lot of times they're using him as a prop to not really get his point across, but to actually get some ratings.
Yeah, and that wasn't the case even just a month ago. I mean, I think he's getting far more airtime now than he was a month or 2 months ago.
That is so true.
Yep.
That is so true. So before we go into, there are several places that I want to touch on, and I kind of decided that I was going to do it. And so before I bring the people in, and I need to tell our listeners this. Remember, folks, this is a call-in show. The telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Do you have a question for the leaders in the Bernie Sanders campaign? They're here in this office, so you can always call and hear from them. Okay. How is he going to do it?
How's he going to do it? Well, he's already doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already seeing him do it. We've built a tremendous volunteer-led movement here in Texas and around the country.
Right.
And people are fired up. People are feeling the burn.
Let me ask you this. Did you follow what I was saying in the blog post at all?
I did.
Did you agree with what I said? Do you disagree with what I said? Or is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, I'd like to take issue with your assessment that voters are disillusioned, and I think the implication of that is voters are apathetic.
That is what I'm actually saying. Yeah.
Yep. And I don't entirely agree with that assessment. I think people are disillusioned with the political process, but I don't think they're apathetic. I think Bernie is striking something in people, hitting that disillusionment and giving them a way forward, showing them that this does not have to be politics as usual, that we have anti-establishment candidates who are taking on the big money interests in politics, and that's what Bernie's doing, and that appeals to people.
I think that appeals to people. I don't think right now we have enough people listening to appeal to. So my question to you is, how is he going to engage those people that have been, I know you don't like the word that I say apathetic, but how is he going to make people, the people that, look, I can go into I went to the Bernie Sanders campaign thing in Arizona. I was there with the Netroots Nation.
Yep.
Also went to what he did out here, and he had thousands of people. And I think that is wonderful. But all of us know what happens with thousands of people when the thousands don't go out. Let's look at 2014. Let's look at 2012 and all these other times that they don't vote. Now, my question goes again to how is he going? Right now, he's doing great in Iowa. Right now, he's doing great in New Hampshire. Right now, he's actually looking to be knocking on the heels in New Mexico. How does he get past that? And then we are going to bring in Kenneth because I want to talk a little bit about how is he going to get past that.
Absolutely. So I think, Bernie... I would actually go farther back. I would go back to 2008.
Okay.
And I would say we are at a very similar moment in 2008 where people are disillusioned. People are, to use your word, apathetic.
That's what. Yes, exactly.
And I think we're seeing a tide that is swelling more and more and more, and being responsive to the things that Bernie is saying. And, I think there's certainly a bit of a stigma around the democratic socialism, or the social democrat, if you will, and we can talk about that. But I think ultimately what that breaks down to is, let's get money out of politics. Let's make politics about democracy, about people, and not about the big banks and the financial interests. And those things, I think, are resonating with people. We certainly have work to do to get the word out. We have a tremendous volunteer base in Houston. I've been working in Houston with incredible people who are so fired up about Bernie.
I know many of them.
Yeah. and that's what we're doing. We're talking to voters, and we're getting that word out, and it's totally working.
Now, let's knock this one out real quickly, because then I want to go into some economic issues further. So, Kenneth, are you on the line? Kenneth is, I think, line... Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
How you doing, Kenneth?
I'm doing great.
First of all, why don't you tell us who you are before I ask any questions?
Well, my name is Kim Sanders. I'm currently based down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm working to get out the vote in this particular region of Texas for the Bernie Sanders campaign. But I'm also acting as a surrogate as it relates to the African-American community.
Now, let me ask you something, Kenneth. Right now, Bernie Sanders is doing excellent in the Democratic Party. If you take a look at where his votes are, it's with young people, it's with white people, it's with a whole lot of people, minus Latinos, minus blacks. Why?
Well, to some degree, I don't agree with you, but I will say,
okay.
But to answer your question,
yes, sir.
I just think African Americans and Latinos haven't had the chance to get to know Bernie Sanders. But once they take the time to get to know Bernie Sanders and to know his congressional record, to know his agenda, to know what his views on the economy and the criminal justice is, I believe that those people will fall in love with Bernie Sanders just as the 2.5 million people who have already made contributions to his campaign have.
Now, look, you don't have to convince me about that. I actually wasn't, again, when Black Lives Matter came up to Bernie at Netroots Nation, I was at the front table with the folks watching the entire incident. And I must say, a lot of people gave Bernie Sanders a hard time for his reaction. I generally try to look at the positive, and what I told a whole lot of folks who weren't there, again, I was there, is that by that night, Bernie Sanders' speech had adapted. That's what I want out of a politician. Somebody who is humble enough to know I don't know something, and then later on make that change. So I was happy about that. But here's my contention, and one of the reasons we would like to have you on as well. I think right now we don't see, at least I can only say what I see here on the ground. I don't see an effort to really go out there and make that church call, go into the areas where different groups find themselves. I don't see that effort. So my question to you is that being done? I'm just not seeing it. Is that gonna be done? What are your plans?
The plan is for more of those activities to start to take place. Like I said, I was just recently brought on the campaign, and one of the reasons I was brought on is to help in that area. And so the Bernie Sanders campaign has every intention of taking our message to African American voters by meeting them where they are in their communities, the barbershops, the beauty salons, the basketball courts, and the Bible studies.
Well, the Killer Mike video is a nice video. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I mean, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than Killer Mike to actually come out here and get it done. So my question then is, is he staffed up to take this particular constituency seriously? Because I can tell you who is.
Like I said, I was just recently brought on the campaign, so the campaign is staffing up to be able to actually go talk to African Americans and send out surrogates on behalf of Senator Bernie Sanders and meet those individuals where they are.
It's not only African Americans. I mean, a lot have been placed on the minorities not supporting Bernie. Well, not exactly not supporting, but not aware of Bernie as African Americans. It's a lot more than African Americans. It's African Americans. It is Latinos. It is Asians. It's a whole lot of other demographics that he doesn't yet have. And
you're right. You're right. And right here in the office in Dallas, where I'm at.
Yes.
I am. When I tell you in this office, if I could take a picture and send to you of all the workers in here right now, you will definitely see a rainbow coalition that represents society today, the diversity that exists.
Well, I have no doubt. Let me just say one thing, okay? Because a lot of our media concentrates on the issue that I just concentrated on. How is he going to do in the black community, all that kind of stuff. I'm one of the folks who know that in every community is an intelligent community, and if you have socioeconomic policies that speak to that community, eventually that community comes around. Of course, those socioeconomic policies have to make sense. I can say that after reading quite a bit of his literature, I think it can attract, but I think also the effort has to be made to make the community feel welcoming as well. And you say?
I would agree with you. I would agree that this campaign has to staff up and have those surrogates that look like the community that they're speaking to.
Absolutely, and that has to be done quickly if there's going to be a dent in those national poll numbers, which are required to also make apathetic people less apathetic. I don't know if you remember what happened in South Carolina with Obama. Obama didn't have the black vote initially in South Carolina. It's only when they thought that he could win that folks, and that's how the world works. But look, Kenneth, I have to go to a break. Then I'm going to go back to Theresa and then we'll start taking some calls. Okay? So let's go to the traffic break.
Why, thank you very much. Okay, let's take a quick look at weather around town. It is currently 69 degrees and mostly cloudy skies here in the heart of Montrose. It's rather windy today and mostly cloudy as well. 20% chance of stray thunderstorms. Partly cloudy skies tonight with gusty winds should diminish after midnight and a low of 38 degrees. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow with gusty winds, high of 65 degrees. And let's take a quick look at our roadways. On the North Freeway inbound at Cypress Woods, an accident is affecting 2 center lanes to the left shoulder, backing up traffic to the Hardy Toll Road. Stop and go on the North Freeway outbound from Allen Parkway to Tidwell due to an earlier accident. And on the West Loop northbound at San Felipe, an accident is affecting the left lane and shoulder. Traffic is backed up from Fornes to the Katy Freeway. That's a look at your afternoon traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you are listening to KPFT Houston, Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies.
Well, welcome, folks, back to Politics Done Right. This is, remember, this is a call-in show, 713-526-5738. Now, Theresa, I'm going to ask you the question again. Right now, we know that the term democratic socialist is going to be problematic for Bernie Sanders. I contend that I think Bernie Sanders is rather slow on really expressing his ideas as democratic socialism, and not only expressing his ideas as democratic socialism, but actually letting Americans know that they are currently the beneficiaries of democratic socialism in a whole lot of the policies that we already have instantiated.
Absolutely. Look at Social Security. Social Security is a policy of democratic socialism. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. And Bernie said it best. I mean, he gave a very long and extremely well-informed address at Georgetown University.
I saw that.
Take a look on YouTube if you haven't seen it. Bernie can explain it better than I can, or anybody can, I think. But the fundamental idea is democratic socialism is about a government that works for the people, not for the financial interests or the big banks. It's about providing social services like Social Security, which my parents benefit from. I will benefit from someday, I hope. Assuming it'll be there. Assuming it's there.
It'll be there.
The social services, the fire department, all of these social services that we rely on, that is what democratic socialism is about. It sounds scary to many people. I know that. Certainly it can be alienating to people.
Let me stop you there. I think for those people who understand what democratic socialism is, I think they themselves have to stop saying it sounds scary. There's nothing that sounds scary to. When I hear democratic socialism, there's nothing scary about that. But if we take one of the things if you notice, one of the things I said in the blog is we have to become the definers and not be defined. The other side have defined democratic socialism as scary. When we say when we say that as well, we give them another bite at the apple. We don't say that. We say democratic socialism is what you're saying. I'm not going to tell anybody it is scary. So I think those are some of the things that we have to look at. But let me go ahead and bring in some of the callers. They're the ones with wisdom. So let's go to line number 2 with Jerry. Come on in, Jerry. Jerry, come on in.
Yeah, I just thought that. I just think that people forget that there are some really great people who were democratic socialists, like George Orwell. And if you don't believe that, then go read The Lion and the Unicorn or The Road to Wagon Pier, and all that. I think that one of the things they're going to try to do is sit there and go, "We're going to abandon capitalism." Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, let me stop you there because that drives me crazy. Here's the problem. Capitalism is an economic system. It's not a social system.
Yeah.
Okay? And people have to realize that you can be a democratic socialist and a capitalist. You can be a communist and a capitalist. You ever heard of a country called China, the biggest capitalist country on the planet?
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a really good point too.
So
and everything. This is much more common in the world than anybody wants to admit.
Exactly. So what we have to start doing, and I think you hear me do this on the show all of the times, is not allow the right to define what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, and we also have to remember specifically that whenever the topic here, let me ask Theresa right here. Theresa, is Bernie Sanders going to eliminate capitalism in in our country?
He's going to eliminate the financial influence on the government of this country, but I don't think he's ever said he plans to eliminate capitalism.
Right. Now, I'm going to give you a little hard time right here, okay?
Go ahead.
And it goes this way. I said, is he going to eliminate capitalism? Capitalism we just identified as simply an economic system. Is he going to eliminate capitalism? The answer is simply no. And the reason I say that is because once you go ahead and you say, "Oh no," I tell you what he's going to do is the right runs with that, and they say, "Oh, you see, he can't give you a straight answer." Capitalism is just one tool in our economic toolbox, nothing more, nothing less. And what happens in America right now is we have decided to make capitalism a religion and an ideology, and everything then becomes an appendage of capitalism. Under what I hear of Bernie Sanders, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about using tools that are appropriate for the particular task.
I think that's right. I mean, we have an economy that has been run roughshod over by the financial interests, by the billionaire class. And Bernie's talking about balancing the scales, about making it more fair for working people and, not giving, nearly the kind of breaks, financial and otherwise, to the big banks and Wall Street that's been happening so far. So making it an even playing field and making the situation better for working people and working families in this country.
Absolutely. Well, look, our lines are full. Jerry, you want to say something real quick?
Yeah, I do want to say something. And
real quick, my friend.
Basically, Republicans are going to sit there and lie to people about what they're going to be able to do and what they're not going to be able to do. There's a huge bill coming on the health care front, and there's a huge bill coming on the education front.
Right.
And it's not something we can put off forever. In fact, the day of reckoning is coming quickly.
Right.
And everything. And Republicans are going to have to adopt some of the same things, probably that Sanders, or something similar to what Sanders is, some of the things similar to what Sanders is proposing eventually.
Absolutely.
Within this decade.
Jerry, let me tell you what.
Let me let you go.
Thank you very much for calling, and keep calling, keep listening. Remember to tell people at KPFT now. This is how we get real news out. Okay, let's go to line number 4 with Brother John. Come on in, Brother John.
How you doing, Egberto?
All right, talk to me, sir.
And hi, Shannon. And I'd like to thank our gracious guest for actually giving time to be with us.
Thank you.
It is great having.
Really humbling.
It is
You're more than welcome. You need to give him Saeed's number. You need to give him Brother Muhammad's number, so all of their surrogates can get the numbers for the 5th Ward for the Arabic community. You with me?
We appreciate that.
Actually, you know what? I think when we're done with this show, and by the way, Teresa, how do they get in touch with you? For anybody listening to this show that want to be a part of the campaign, or not only that, but want to tell you how they can help the campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we have an office here in Houston. It's not too far from this office. If you go to map.berniesanders.com, that's map.berniesanders.com. You can search for the Houston office there. You can also find events in your area. We have events every single day where you can come out, help Bernie, help get him elected, join an incredible group of volunteers here in Houston. Again, that's map.berniesanders.com. You can find our office address and phone number, as well as lots of events going on in the Houston area.
Thank you, Teresa. Now, let's look, Brother John, do you have something else quickly to say?
Yes, with the blog.
Yes.
We are angry. We are incredibly angry. However, we are civilized and we are passionate.
I love the way you said
we do
that.
not walk on stage with false hearts and lies, and the lies always falls when the truth comes through.
I so love the way you said that, Brother John.
That's basically what it is, and we are going to win, but it's going to be a hard battle.
Well, one of the reasons, and I told Teresa here is like, a lot of the listeners know here that we have lean-ins, okay, but at the same time we have to be pragmatic, and we want to make sure that we, I tell you what, rubbing Bernie Sanders back or telling him how great he is ain't no good. Okay, the reality is he needs to be hit. He needs to be hit hard. It needs to be ensured that he can take a punch, because the reality is, he's going to get, if he were to make it to the general election.
It's we the people, and
exactly.
he knows that.
That's right.
We're the checks and balances. They've
Absolutely.
taken it
You want to say
away.
something, Teresa?
We've let them take it away. We fell asleep after this.
You're right, John. Let me let you go so that Teresa can say a few more words. And
yes, God bless. I'm here in Waller. Give him support. Patrick has my number.
Okay.
I love y'all. Make sure Dwayne and Marla get a hold of them too.
Will do, my brother.
I love
you take
Sharon.
care.
Bye, Egberto. God bless you all. God
Bye,
bless
Brother John.
Thanks for
He
your
will
call.
win.
Thank you.
He will win.
Take care, buddy. And all the callers, I'm coming to you, so don't worry being on hold. I'm going to get to you. Yes, you wanted to say, Teresa.
Yeah, look, I think, we talk a lot about Bernie Sanders, whether he can take a punch.
Right.
I think he probably can, frankly.
Right.
But it's about so much more than Bernie Sanders. And he says this, it is about building a political movement that does not end the day he takes office. It begins the day he takes office.
I am happy. Did you want to add to that? Because
no, that's that. Yeah.
I am happy you said that. You know why? If you read the blogs that I write about Bernie, that's exactly what I said. I said Bernie. This. I'll tell you one of the things that I say specifically. I say this: the only way Bernie wins is if there is some transformational change, and that transformational change doesn't only mean that Bernie wins. It also means that a lot of coattails will be coming, because the type of voters that will be electing somebody like a Bernie, the masses that is, they are likely not going to elect Bernie and Paul Ryan at the same time. So those are issues that people have to look at very, very seriously. If he wins, there is transformational change in the country. And look, this is not about anti-Hillary or whatever, because I'm going to tell you something. And guys, I'm coming to you right now on the phone, but I want to say this because this is important. There are a lot of baby boomer women that they have and I feel for them.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to say? They want a Hillary Clinton because they feel that this is almost the last chance to get a woman that is going to be there. So that is that if a Bernie is to win, that is a type of sentiment that Bernie also has to get over, because these women Pakistan has had a woman. Okay? So there has to be a case made why his opponent shouldn't be the president, or why he is better being the president. Because again, it also has to do with the woman thing, if you understand what I'm saying.
I do. I certainly do. I've considered myself a feminist for as long as I've known what that word means.
Mm-hmm.
And I was raised by a single mother who was an incredibly strong woman, taught me values, about women's rights and equal rights for women. And I'm working on this campaign because I believe that Bernie's policies are the best ones out there for women and their families and working women across this country. And that's why I'm a part of it. And I think that women are smart enough to understand that we need a candidate who is going to represent our interests, as much as possible and as best as possible. And I believe that Bernie is the person to do it.
Okay, let's go to Michael on line 6. Come on in, Michael. Line number 6. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm good, sir. How are you today?
Excellent, sir. Talk to me.
I have a few things that I want to say, and then I want to ask the question. Number one, some of the things that you have said today have really resonated with me because, like you or a lot of Americans in this country, when you hear the word socialist or socialism, it kind of becomes this synonymous meaning of capitalism, or
right.
not capitalism, but communism.
Right.
So you become immediately afraid of it. After I watched the very first debate between Bernie and Hillary, I turned the TV off and I began to immediately realize that if Bernie Sanders was a democratic socialist, then I have been a democratic socialist hiding in the closet for 30 years. So that first debate, even though I didn't think he did all that well, I didn't really think he did really all that bad.
Right.
My initial impression was, you know what, he's kind of an old guy, he's kind of a kooky dude.
Uh-huh.
But he opened my ears to be very receptive to what he was saying, and what he says actually makes tremendous sense.
Right.
And when he described socialism by looking at an example like the military, that is basically a socialist type of environment.
The biggest one at that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I was in the military. I actually liked it. So I think he resonates, and I think he says a lot of very important things.
Right.
And when I stack him up against the candidates that are running for the GOP, I think, man, there's no way I would vote for any of the GOP candidates over Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
So my question becomes, who do I vote for, Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton? And immediately my thinking is, well, you know what? From an electability standpoint, my paradigm is stuck in the trenches where I'm going to say Hillary is actually more electable than Bernie. But I preface that by saying, who is Bernie Sanders? And this is my question to the young lady in your studio since she's there. Mm-hmm. What kind of a candidate is Bernie Sanders going to be choosing for his vice presidential running mate? Is it going to be another Democratic socialist? Is it going to be someone who might be considered a third-party type of candidate? Would it be a traditional Democratic candidate? Could it possibly be a woman? In that
we know who that woman is going to be. Let me tell you, there's an open secret there, but I won't. I'm going to say the open secret.
Well, share it, brother, because I want to hear it.
The open secret is that great senator from the state of Massachusetts whose name is Elizabeth Warren. Nobody's going to say that, but our friend in the office here won't say that either. But I let her answer the question.
No, I think it's a very good question, and I don't have any insight. More than what's been speculated on, and I'm as curious as you are about who it would potentially be. Right. I think it would have to be somebody who shares, many of the values that Bernie has espoused in terms of, reforming the financial industry and making this a better country for working people and their families. Beyond that, I don't have
Theresa,
any.
Unfortunately, there are not many in the Senate who shares that value, or many politicians who share that value.
No, you're not wrong. I think it's I'm sure there are a lot of people looking into this question, and he will have a lot of people offering him suggestions. And I trust him to make the best decision possible.
So, Michael, anything else before I go to the next call?
The one thing that I'm very, very interested in is how do we take the money out of the politics? And if we just look forward a year from now, and let's just say, okay, Bernie Sanders actually wins the presidency. He goes through the swearing-in process. How is he, in his first 4 years, going to change the process that we currently have to endure from all the special money interests that are involved in politics?
I'm going to ask Theresa to answer that, but then I want to really give a quick one on that. Go.
Sure. Yeah, just quickly, just one example, and he's talked about this. He has proposed and wants to overturn Citizens United. Citizens United was a decision by the highest court in this country that basically allows donors to make undisclosed donations to campaigns of undisclosed amounts, and it allows money to influence politics, and that is a huge problem in this country, and Bernie wants to overturn that.
Now, that is fine and good. There's a group of which I'm a part of called Move to Amend. It's at movetoamend.org. We have a bill out called the People's Amendment in Congress right now. That particular bill not only say money isn't speech, but it also says that corporations are not people. We would love for Bernie's folks to take a look at the People's Amendment, to take a look at that. So please tell Bernie to take a look at that. Michael, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Okay, my friend?
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
You have a wonderful day. Now let's go to Chad at numero 5.
Hello. Hey, I'm glad you mentioned movetoamend.org. That would be great if Bernie could really align himself with that, and if he doesn't pull it off, it would actually kind of spread the word.
Absolutely.
I just had an idea about explaining democratic socialism that most people can relate to, sort of dispel.
I am waiting, my friend. Just let me have it.
Okay, it's got to be succinct. It's got to be an analogy that everyone can get with.
So let me have it.
Football, okay? Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is a small market. Normally the Packers would have been moved out a long time ago for a big stadium.
You are a genius.
Can make more money.
You are a genius, dude. Go ahead, finish it up. I know what you want to say.
Yeah, the Packers sold shares to the people of Green Bay, so they're going to be there. They're owned by the people, yet they're still a business.
Chad?
And they're not going to betray their people.
And you know what? They're not communists either. And they're not communists.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you believe
that?
And
that's something everyone can relate to, and you're going to get all those Packers fans.
Chad, you so far. I mean, I don't know. Somebody else may come with a better thing later on, but you win for the day so far, brother.
Good one.
Running up the flagpole.
That was a good one, buddy. Let's go now. Let's get rid of Chad and go to number 2, John. John, come on in. Joe.
Good afternoon, Egberto.
Oh, John, yeah. How you doing, John?
Good. Good afternoon, Theresa.
Good afternoon.
I'm kind of upset at you, Egberto.
What did I do?
Because you're going back to the way you were in the summer. This is, you were very skeptical of Bernie, and you put this whole thing about electability, and then you started talking about the issues, and then now you're back to this electability thing.
No, John, I got to stop you right there because you missed the point of the blog entirely. What I'm saying is Bernie Sanders is starting to bring it home. And if you take a look at the blog, that's exactly what I say in the last 2 paragraphs. And the issue here is not for me to be a glory, glory, hallelujah, love you, Bernie type of a person, because that doesn't win you elections. My thing is now Bernie Sanders has to get on the ball with, I know what all the numbers say. I look at the numbers you send me as well, John. Come on. So I know all of that. I'm saying do not take what I'm saying out of context to somehow trying to say the man isn't electable. I'm saying the mainstream media is saying the man isn't electable. The bought media is saying the man isn't electable. The mainstream media is scared to death because two people that they considered in the beginning, they took their hands off because they didn't think they would make a difference. They took their hands off these people, and these 2 people are really surging. So what I'm saying is, now that this is happening, you don't want to just wrap your hand and say, oh, we know he's electable. Look at what the polls say. I said something very important in my blog. And what I said in the blog was, look, when the Republicans start to hit the socialism thing, just like what these other people said, stuff will hit the fan. Bernie Sanders has got to be prepared for that. If you look, I think you should reread my blog, because there's nothing I said that give the impression there that somehow I don't think the man is electable.
Well, first of all, can I have a say here?
Oh, sure.
I mean, let me go for a few sentences here. Democratic establishment politicians who are scared that a Bernie Sanders primary will hurt their party are justified.
Yes,
that is untrue. Completely untrue.
Let me explain that statement.
First of all, there's only five senators in states that Obama didn't win that are Democratic senators. None of them are up for election in 2016. So, I mean, the fact is that Sanders against various candidates against Trump, and I'm not talking about national polls. Mm-hmm. National polls are meaningless because we don't know. That's not how we elect people. I mean, I've actually taken the time
after him
and go through state by state. Sanders versus Trump, Sanders versus Cruz, Sanders versus other people, and he's doing very well. He's doing as well as Hillary. And so when you say things like that, there's just no data that's backing that up.
John,
okay?
Because we're at 15 minutes and Shannon is telling me I got to go, I won't talk about that, but I tell you what I'll do. Next session again, we'll touch on this again, because I think you're completely misreading that. But that's okay. We'll talk about that. Keep calling, keep listening. We'll talk. All right?
All right.
Thank you, buddy. Okay, we got to go to traffic.
All right. Thank you, Egberto. It is currently 66 degrees with windy and partly cloudy skies here in the heart of Montrose. Let's take a quick look at our towers. In Galveston, it is 70 degrees and overcast skies. Livingston is 56 degrees and mostly cloudy skies. And Huntsville is a mostly cloudy 55. And let's look at our extended forecast. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow with gusty winds and a high of 55 degrees. Expect a few possibility of evening showers tonight. And thunderstorms and gusty winds during the evening, a low of 38 degrees. And let's take a quick look at our roadways. Slow going on the North Freeway, outbound from Telephone to West. Stop and go on the North Freeway, outbound from the Hardy Toll Road. Actually, that's inbound, correction. From the Hardy Toll Road to 1960 due to an earlier accident. And on the West Loop, northbound at San Felipe, there's that earlier accident still affecting the left lane and shoulder. Traffic is backed up from Fornes to the Katy Freeway. And on the West Sam Houston Tollway, northbound at Tanner, there's an accident affecting a frontage lane in that area, beginning to back up traffic in that general vicinity. That's a look at your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurchie, and you are listening to KPFT Houston 90.1 in Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies.
Let me look. All the callers that have been coming in so far has been men. So I tell you something, folks. The first woman that calls gets on right away. Okay, so come on, ladies, give me a call, because it's not right that you men are dominating everything. So let's go to, for now, until women start calling in, let's go to line number 3. Line number 3, and it looks like women may have called. I just got 2 lines come up, but let's go to Joe. Talk to me, Joe Capitalist.
Hey, Egberto, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good to talk to you again.
Yes, sir.
Listen, you know I'm a capitalist. I got a small business, 15
yes.
people. The tops, we did about $1.5 million over
Good for
the year.
you.
But my choice is for a socialist, a democratic socialist system where all my employees have a safety net. They're all paid. They have health care. They have Social Security and all these benefits.
Absolutely.
That puts me on a par with large companies, and the only basis for me competing with them is salary that I give them. That makes it a much fairer system.
And it's deeper than that. Why do we have healthcare as a part of the employment system? It's ridiculous. That's a fee that doesn't belong with employers. You know. And the thing about it is there's some reasons behind that. There are historical reasons with corporations wanting to pay in other ways. You know, ladies, give me a call. It wasn't a woman that called, so we need ladies to call. The Bernie rep just says we're the women. So.
Yeah.
Call women.
Well,
anyhow, Joe.
Joe's a name that goes both ways, male and female, so you can pretend I'm woman.
Okay, Joe, I won't do that. I won't do that to you, Joe. But look, it was a pleasure speaking to you, sir.
All right, take care.
You
Bye.
take care now. Okay, let's go to line number 4. Yeah, line number 4. Curtis, come on in.
Umberto.
¿Qué pasó? Talk to me.
I could talk in a falsetto voice if that would,
No, we want real women. We don't want impersonators here.
Well, Umberto, I'm afraid to tell you.
Yes, sir.
That socialism is socialism.
Mm-hmm.
And I would recommend you look it up. You go Google Democratic.
Before you finish, I need to tell you one important point. The definition given in the Standard Dictionary for Socialism, it's peculiarly wrong. And
it's peculiarly standard.
No. Let me.
Umberto,
go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
Person who talks to people.
Yes.
You use language to communicate.
Yes, sir.
Words
I do.
Have meaning.
They sure
do.
The
meanings are in the definition.
Yes.
Bernie Sanders cannot redefine what socialism is.
And let me stop you right there for one thing. Here's the deal, okay? The control of all resources is what communism is, okay? All means of production, etc., is what communism is. You go look up in the dictionary communism and socialism, and you see that they try to conflate it. But here's what I want to tell you, my friend, and this is
they're not conflating it; they're defining it, Alberto. You can't get around from a dictionary definition, and certainly the Republicans are not going to allow you to get around a dictionary definition. They're going to say to America,
you're right.
When Bernie is nominated, they're going to say, look, this is all about whether we want to be a socialist country or a capitalist
My friend, can you listen to me 1 second?
This is what socialism is, and Bernie cannot get on a billboard and start talking about the interstate highway system being a democratic socialism.
I get that. Look, all of us have heard that argument before, but let me just qualify something, because this country, what we've done in this country, okay, the plutocracy has reigned, and the plutocracy have been pulling the strings for a very, very long time. And you know what they've done? It's not only you look up the Powell Manifesto and see what they've done. They've changed definitions of all these words specifically, so that when a guy like you call me, you can say, Egberto, words have meanings. Look in the dictionary.
Get the oldest dictionary you can find, Umberto.
When was the Red Scare? Look before the Red Scare. You must look before the Red Scare. But anyhow, let me tell you one thing, my friend. I hear what you're saying.
You can look anywhere along the spectrum of socialism. In political science, you need words to mean what they mean.
I gotta go. Look, I'm full. I have to go now, but look, Joe, I hear you.
You got a woman to talk to? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got to go, but here's the deal. Before you go. I want to tell you one important thing. Stop just looking at these books that's been given to you.
That's what the Republicans are going to do.
I know, you're right about that. But look, we talk again, Joe. Keep calling. We talk later. Okay, brother?
Curtis.
All right. Who am I talking to? You're
Curtis.
Galveston. I got the wrong one. Okay, Curtis. Look, thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate the call, brother. All right?
All right, Umberto.
Take it easy, my man. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey, let's go to Joe, numero 6. And Joe, I only can give you 30 seconds. Talk to me, Joe.
All right. My question is, why is the $3 billion grant that we give to the Jewish state not mentioned in the political campaigns for the President of the United States?
Well, I tell you what, I'll let her answer that, and at the same time, I'm going to go to the next caller. Okay, I appreciate that very much, my friend. We got to go one step at a time. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a fair point. It hasn't come up in the discussions at all yet, but it very well may, yeah.
Okay, let's now go to line number 1. Scott?
Okay.
You got 30 seconds, Scott. Really 30 seconds.
A pretty important point about outreach to minority voters. There are so few resources when, you're mounting one of these campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 states are New Hampshire and Iowa.
Right.
2 of the most boreal places on the planet.
Right.
Okay? He hadn't had time to develop a message or outreach to minority voters yet, because if he doesn't win those first 2 states or one of those first 2 states, the party's over.
Scott, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's now go to line number 2 for Deborah. Line number 2. Deborah, come on in.
Hello, Egberto. This is Deborah out of Nassau Bay, Texas, and I am a real female, and I'm a baby boomer, and I have been a Bernie supporter since about 2007 following him. And I just want to say that the statement made earlier in the program that baby boomer women are in support of Hillary is not as factual as represented. I have a whole host of women friends that range from the age of mid-80s down that are strong Bernie supporters, and the whole socialism, democratic socialism title label just does not even hold water with us. So
look,
I
appreciate
your program.
that. Thank you, ma'am. You have a wonderful day, okay?
All right.
Okay, let's go to line number 3 with Desmond. Okay.
Desmond,
come on in real quick. You got 30 seconds.
Okay, I just want to speak about the black vote.
Mm-hmm.
I think if black voters were to look at the history of Bernie Sanders, they would understand that he's the only senator who would regularly meet with the Congressional Black Caucus,
right?
And all other senators would not.
Thank you very much. I got to let you go, Desmond, for putting that fact out there, but I appreciate your call, okay? Let's go to line number 5 with Jack. Jack, you get 20 seconds.
Oh, boy. Lucky me. I just wanted to tell the listener something. First of all, the women who are trying to vote for Hillary Clinton, try to remember the President of the United States, the election to the President of the United States is not a popularity or a gender contest.
Okay, thank you. I got to let it there. Let's go to line number 4. Line number 4, because I have to give her final word. Line number 4. Okay, come on in. Line number 4. I don't know who you are. You got 15 seconds. Yes, sir.
Benito's the name. The last, obviously white caller, trying to tell you about socialism, and he made an error. He said this is not a socialist. This country would never be a socialist. It would be because we are capitalists. He didn't really make a distinction. I don't know if you caught that.
Yes, I caught it, and we did it. So I have to let you go because I got to give Theresa the final word. So Theresa, first of all, thank you for being here. Give me a final word before we close out our show.
Thank you for having me so much, Egberto, and thanks to all of the callers who called in. Listen, I think no matter what you want to call them, I think Bernie Sanders' message is resonating with people. Working people, working families, women in this country, folks of color. I think Bernie's message is getting out there and resonating with people. If you're in Houston, come help us out. We are building a tremendous group of volunteers. We have so many folks across Texas helping us out. We'd love to have you join us. We've got an office here in Houston and throughout the state of Texas. So find events near you, map.berniesanders.com, and come help us win this thing.
Look, I appreciate you being on the show. I wish you the best of luck with what you're doing. I think actually you guys are doing a pretty darn good job. So keep up the good works, folks. Thank you again. I only left 2 callers on, and the reason I left you on is that it came after the time. So thank you very much, everyone. Please remember to call back next week. We'll have the show again, a very good show. This is Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, and I am out.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.